It's time once again for an update from the City of New Hope, and this time a very special update as we take a look back at the year 2020 in the City of New Hope. Joining us for the update is the Mayor, Kathi Hemken. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Just fine, thanks.
Thanks for being with us. You have taken some time to go through some notes of different departments and things of note in 2020 to pass along to residents. Let's begin with redevelopment, and a lot has happened in this area. Give us a look back at 2020 and redevelopment.
Well, I will. First of all, I want to mention to people how busy the city staff was. Some of them were in the building, some of them were at home, and they just kept coming and going and doing their jobs. So I wanted to recap all the wonderful stuff that the staff has done during this pandemic, and it's really impressive. So with redevelopment, we've added $13 million to the New Hope economy as of the end of November. I think that's pretty impressive. So 10 of the houses that were in Windsor Ridge have been built and sold, of course. They're working on the other 22. Sometime in 2021, they'll be sold. We did 8 scattered site houses that we completed and sold. So the Pocket Square Cocktail Lounge, that's been proceeding along. It's where the old Mountain Mud was. It just hasn't opened yet because of the pandemic. Origin Stone, they renovated an old building on Boone, and that's the new headquarters. They moved from St. Louis Park. We approved an affordable housing ordinance. We had a very successful census. The Human Rights Commission partnered up with the League of Women Voters, and we actually had an 80.5% count, which is much better than the state had 75% count. So we were really pleased with that census. That census means we're probably going to get more money from the state and the county because of that census. So we're really happy about that. The Green Step program continues on. We've added a couple new initiatives to that, and just to give us a better rating. So all in all, community development has been really busy. What they've done with that is some of the guys were home, some of them were in the office. They would trade places, so there weren't a lot of people in the office at any one time, but we did manage to keep City Hall open, and that's a big deal.
A lot of work, as you see, in redevelopment. Let's move ahead, and we're going to touch on this area quite a few times, the police, City Hall area, and also the Civic Center Park and the pool. Let's start with just the police area and the City Hall. What are some of the accomplishments there in this past year with all of the reconstruction and construction?
Well, the construction got finished, and it looked pretty good. We moved in, and we were doing well. We had a little trouble with our contractor who was doing the landscaping. So the landscaping really didn't get done in a time fashion, but staff just kept on them constantly and threatened them occasionally that they were going to fine them. And I think they still are. But so now that's all done. They had a punch list to do where they had to fix some stuff like the heated sidewalk in front of the police department. So all that got done, and that doesn't get done magically. That means staff is kind of keeping an eye on them, making sure that it's getting done. So we are officially done with that.
Glad to hear. 2020 was a year of quite a few elections in the City of New Hope. Give us a look back at the elections and the work that goes into elections by the city.
Well, we had 3 elections. We had the presidential primary, we had the presidential nominating for the primary, and then we had the general election. Actually, in the general election, we had an 83% turnout, which was really great. We decided that we were going to keep City Hall open so that people could come in and vote in City Hall, or they could vote absentee from home. And I think that was one of the reasons why we had such a good turnout. The other thing that happened is one of our polling places was Northridge. And of course, Northridge was shut down. So we were scrambling to find a new place to have a polling place. And we did that at City Hall. The third thing that happened that was really interesting was the training of the judges, because they all had to use iPads at the polling places. We had some people in City Hall which were doing voting entirely different than what they were used to. So there was training of the judges these 3 elections. We did get some money for that from the state to run the 3 elections, but that doesn't mean we didn't have a whole bunch of staff people just in and out doing stuff, trying to get that to run smoothly, and it did.
Congratulations to all those involved. Let's hop back to the city campus area and talk a little bit about the Civic Center Park and the pool. What were some of the accomplishments there in 2020?
Well, the pool actually got done. That's the good news. The bad news is
Mhm.
it didn't open.
Right.
And that wasn't because of us. We couldn't get staff, which was a problem. But then the governor said we couldn't open. So that didn't open. But it is done. We did get the Performance Center, used to be called the theater. The Performance Center did get done. And actually, we did quite a few programs there. We did a couple of movies in the park.
Hmm.
The staff of Park and Rec are looking at other ways to use that area. Maybe recitals for some of the dance classes, maybe some music in that center. That'll be used a lot more than just what it was used for before. And I know that the Off Broadway musical is coming back. I just don't know what it's going to be.
Very good. People are excited about that. Let's hop over to the golf course then. The pool, unfortunately, could not be open, but the golf course was open and saw everyone in town, I believe.
Well, it was amazing. We actually had 8,000 more rounds
Mm.
than anything we've had before. Excuse me. There were 26,000 rounds that were played. We some good things happened. We opened early. We didn't have a lot of rain. I played golf on the 14th of December. So
Good for you.
we had a long season, a lot more season passes being sold. So the golf course was a real big hit.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
That was a good thing out of the year. Let's talk infrastructure, some of the work done underneath the streets and on the streets. What's the recap from 2020?
Well, this is the really sexy stuff.
Yes,
When they're doing
right.
so the guys are out there doing a sewer lining where they put a
Hmm.
lining inside the pipes just to give the pipes more life, if you will.
Hmm.
They redid Northwood Parkway, and that was a total reconstruction all
Right.
summer long. 36 and a half, the same thing. We talked about that, I think, almost every week all
Yes.
summer. And it's beautiful. So they're out there doing all this stuff. They're plowing. The guys are when they're not plowing, they're working on their equipment to keep it in shape. They were busy through this whole pandemic also.
Emerald Ash Borer, give us a quick update on what we're finding there and how that worked through Public Works in the city.
Well, they actually removed 112 trees. Some of them were on boulevards, some of them were in the parks, but we know that emerald ash is here. It isn't spreading rapidly like COVID is, but
Hmm.
it will spread, and those ash trees have to come down. So when residents called us and told us they had an ash tree on their boulevard, we went out and took that down. If it was early enough in the springs and summer and early fall, we replaced that. So 99 trees have been replaced. The rest of them will be replaced with the ones that are on the boulevards, will be replaced in the spring. But it gets to a point where you really can't get those new trees in and have them survive. So they'll
Understandable.
be replaced. But I do tell people that if they have a tree on their boulevard that doesn't look very good and they think it's an emerald ash borer, really call City Hall and let them know,
Hmm.
and they'll take that tree down. I'd rather they took it down than it fell on your house.
Exactly. Let's move over to public safety. Let's first talk police. A lot of action in the police department. Give us a recap there.
Well, that's our first priority, as you know. And I'm very protective of my police officers. With all the looting that went on in Minneapolis during those terrible days after the Memorial Day, we had absolutely no looting or damage to any of our businesses. And that really speaks highly for our police officers. We had put in a curfew, which helped, but those police officers, all of them were on the streets all the time in their cars, telling people to go home, stay away from the buildings. So we had no looting at all, which was just fantastic.
Hmm.
So we also, our police chief, Tim Fournier, left us. He retired, and we promoted from within Tim Hoyt. So Chief Hoyt is in the job, and of course he was a sergeant, so we had to replace that position from within, and we did. And there was another sergeant that left us, so we replaced two sergeants from within, which means you go back and you have to hire two more officers. So everybody kind of moved up, and hiring a new officer is a very lengthy process.
Sure.
Again, our city manager and our new police chief were involved in all of that process. They were there every day doing it. So lots of
Let's
good stuff happening.
and let's recap quickly a little bit of equipment news from the police department. Body cameras and a police vehicle. Give us the recap there.
Well, the body cams, we're working on that. That's not something you just go out and buy
Hmm.
like a toy truck. There has to be a lot of computer storage so you can support this the cameras on them. We
Sure.
won't be buying all the cameras at once, but all that background work has been done. So
Okay.
we should start or buying them in 2021. And we wanted to make sure we had cameras in the cars. And so we got those in there, and that actually we got that done.
Very
And
good.
so we're moving right along, but all of this stuff takes time, and it happens behind the scenes, and you don't really know it's
Mhm.
happening, but it is.
Let's move over to West Metro Fire. A little update there. A lot changed because of COVID. Tell us about the 24/7 crews that had to be in place.
Well, when there's an emergency and the news goes out or the wire goes out and everybody shows up, and we didn't want all of our firefighters to get sick in case there was a virus going around. So our fire chief decided that we would have a duty crew at each of the three fire stations.
Hmm.
And that duty crew would work 12-hour days, and then another duty crew would come on for 12. That way, if we did have an outbreak, it would only affect four of our firefighters, not the whole department.
Sure.
And that was a very successful program to do that. They had to put training on hold for the firefighters because, again, you can't have all those people in one place. But our firefighters are very well trained, and we had to put recruiting on hold for the same reason because
Hmm.
you recruit, you have to train. We couldn't train, so our fire department functioned well, and they're still functioning well.
One other note you have is with a new citizen representative on the board. Tell us about that move.
Well, there's a board of directors that works with
Hmm.
the fire department and the city managers. One of the New Hope people on that board had to leave for job reasons, and so we hired another person, or hired. It's a volunteer job. So
Right?
we did some interviews, and we brought another person on board, and now he's part of the fire board. So we're real happy to see that happen.
All right, let's go to an area that will get number lovers excited. The finance area. Give us a little recap of finance in 2020.
Well, we use Abdo Myers, AEM, as our finance gurus, if you will.
Hmm.
Some days you need one, some days you need 10. And when you need a bunch or some specialty stuff done, it's really nice to have a big accounting firm behind you. So with them, we got a certificate for the excellence in financial reporting, got a clean audit. They did that for us.
Hmm.
We did a 10-year financial plan, and in that 10-year plan, I'm happy to announce there's no new debt being issued in these 10 years that are coming. And the last thing is 3.4 tax levy, and we're really proud of that too. That's an achievement, and
Other
AEM helps us with that.
Very good. Another department is IT, and I expect a similar situation to finance. You've got some outside help that really helps in the IT area. Tell us about that.
Well, we use solution builders for that. And in a normal day, you might need one person that would fix you because you didn't do your password right or something went wrong.
Hmm.
When we're trying to get a whole crew to have laptops at home and how to get into these back into Zoom or the other programs to do their work from home, we needed a whole bunch of the solution builder folks
Sure.
to help with that transition. So when we have them, we only pay them for what we use them for rather than have somebody on staff all the time. So this has been a real bonus for us to be able to use those during this difficult time.
Another area that falls under IT is communications, and a lot of work there with some staffing and also some good numbers on social media. Tell us about that.
Well, the old mm, communications person
Hmm.
left us, so we hired from within again, and she turned out just to be a little dynamo. So she updated our website so it was easier to use. She got us a page on Facebook. So she's done all kinds of things to get people to look at the city. A lot of times when you and I talk, we'll tell people to go to the website because everything's there and they can actually find it.
Right.
Where before you'd have to search around and you couldn't really find. So that's been just an excellent addition to our team.
Wonderful. Let's circle back around to staffing a little bit during the COVID time period. Then, City Manager Kirk McDonald was a real trooper in this as well as other staff. Give us a little staffing recap throughout the year.
Well, other cities actually closed down
Right.
and their city managers worked from home. The city manager is like the CEO of the city.
Hmm.
He was there every single day. And now this is a guy that isn't really comfortable with IT, as neither am I. So that we had to get him on board. And not only did he have to learn how to use Zoom and WebEx and whatever micro teams, there were just a whole bunch of different things he had to learn to
Sure.
do. He wanted to be in the building so that he could coordinate what everybody was doing. He wanted to make sure that people at home were talking to the people in the building were talking to each other. So he was there all the time, and what a trooper to do that. We uh, we did a lot of hiring from or upgrading from within, and
Hmm.
which means you have to go outside and get people in. So
Right.
that means, posting the job, interviewing a bunch of people, hiring somebody, and then training them. We got a new council member, which took a lot of training, like it always does.
Sure.
So again, lots of time spent with that new council member and our new employees just to get them up to speed.
We want to take a quick second to talk about surveys. So the city always is trying to find out what residents are thinking. Tell us about the survey process in 2020. What happened? What's coming for the future?
Well, we were scheduled to do the Morris Letterman survey,
Mhm.
which is a professional team, and decided not to because of COVID. It just didn't seem like the right thing to do. So we did an internal survey. We actually got 200 more people responding to the survey than we had before. One of the
Mhm.
things we did on that survey, at the bottom, we said, if there's something you need to discuss with us, give us your phone number and we'll call you. And we did. So a lot of these staff members who are working from home were making those phone calls,
Mhm.
finding out the concerns that people had. Sometimes the concerns were because they didn't have all of the knowledge of what went into that decision. And sometimes they had real concerns that needed to be taken care of. But everybody that indicated they wanted to be talked to got talked to. So with that, we had, what did we have? Well, I talked about the 200
Yep.
extra
Very
people.
good. Yeah. So great effort with the surveys and certainly more to come in the future. Let's hop over to Park and Rec. Talk about a group that had to be very creative and innovative. This was one. Tell us about some of their successes.
Well, they successfully did the snowman contest, and they're doing it again this year, but we won't know till 2021 on this year's. They did the photo contest, and they
Mhm.
managed to do that online. They put together activity kits, some of which you could just pick up, bring home, and do with your kids. Some of them were for purchase. They figured out a way to have people rent equipment,
Right.
so they could rent skis and snowshoes and get those people outside and doing stuff. They're working on getting some entertainment at that entertainment center that we're putting out. It
Hmm.
used to be called the old theater.
Right.
So they're working on some entertainment, some movies, and maybe some bands playing. So they've been really, really busy. And when they're not doing that, they're out there picking up trash at the skate park, or cleaning the community gym. So they've been very active.
Right. Those facilities have had a lot of work during some of the downtime. So hats off to Park and Rec. Finally, let's talk about grants and just some of the flow of money during this very unusual year. What were some of the unique things that happened with grants?
Well, first of all, I have to back up just a little bit. A
Hmm.
grant just doesn't fall on your head. You
True.
have you have to apply for the grant. Usually, you apply, they send you back some stuff. They need some more information. All of that stuff takes time to get to them. And then we've got the staff out there searching for where there are grants. So, as of the end of the year, we should be receiving $350,000 in grants, and
Hmm.
that's in addition to the 1.6 million that we're getting for the CARES funding. Now, that CARES funding is another big load of paperwork that has to be done, because very
Sure.
specific what you can use the money on, and we have to justify where that money's been used and how it was spent. So lots of money coming in. We got $250,000 for the pool, which was a biggie. We got a lot of money from Hennepin County sports grants,
Hmm.
but again, they're out looking for that. And we got $25,000 to help with the election process because of all the things we had to do for COVID. So even though the staff is busy, we're getting some financial help, and they're actually out there looking for that financial
Sure.
help.
Wonderful. Well, a great recap of 2020. Any quick notes as we close 2020 and look ahead to 2021 for the residents of New Hope?
Well, I want people to know that their staff, and they're paying the staff with their taxes, their
Hmm.
staff has been very busy out there working for them, trying to keep the city running, keeping it safe, thinking of innovative things to do. I'm sure they'll continue to do that in 2021. Hopefully, we'll get to open the pool. That'll be another little adventure for us.
Sure.
but there'll be a lot of other things, and we continue to look for ways to keep our residents engaged. And of course, go to the website if you want to find out anything.
All right, that website, as the mayor mentioned, newhopemn.gov. Mayor Hemken, thanks again for your time. Happy New Year to you, and we'll talk to you in 2021.
Happy 2021.